Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a topic that might fly under the radar a bit, but it's something that touches, well, probably most homes in one way or another. We're talking about interior stains, those finishes for wood. Floors, cabinets, furniture.
Exactly, the kind that enhance the wood grain, not like paint that just covers it up. Translucent finishes.
Right. And our mission today really is to unpack the global market for these stains. We've got this detailed market research report here. It's full of forecasts, revenue numbers, trends, looking all the way out to 2033.
Quite a long forecast period.
It is. So we're going to pull out the key insights, look at who the major players are, and maybe uncover some surprising growth stories in what seems like, a pretty specific industry.
Okay.
So let's get into it. What do these numbers really tell us about, say, consumer habits, construction trends, maybe even bigger economic shifts? Could be some interesting takeaways here.
Definitely. Let's see what the data says.
Okay, let's start with the really big picture. Globally, this report says the market for interior stains was already pretty solid back in 2021, about $7.1 billion.
Well, okay, 7 billion.
Yeah. And the projection, it climbs significantly, should hit over $8.4 billion by 2025, and then keeps going to a whopping $12.1 billion by 2033.
12 billion. That's quite a leap.
It is. It works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of 4.6% over that whole time.
What's really interesting there is just how steady that growth is. 4.6% consistently over a decade.
Right.
It points to a really stable, ongoing demand for these kinds of finishing products, doesn't it?
It does. Seems fundamental.
Yeah, it suggests, an underlying strength in things like construction, home renovation,
Yeah.
even looking quite far ahead. That's quite reassuring in some ways.
Okay, so that's a global view. Let's zoom in a bit. How about North America? What's the story there?
The report shows it grew from, around $1.88 billion in 2021
Okay.
to over $2.22 billion by 2025. And the forecast for 2033 is nearly $3.15 billion. So still growing quite strongly then. What's the CGR?
4.45%. So yeah, pretty strong. Slightly below the global average, but solid.
Right, but it's worth digging into where in North America that growth is happening.
Yeah.
Because it's probably not the same everywhere.
Good point.
The U.S. is, predictably the biggest chunk, right? It started around $1.55 billion in 21, and it's projected to hit, over $2.58 billion by 2033.
Okay, so the U.S. drives a lot of it.
It does. Canada's significant too, of course. But, the really interesting bit for me is Mexico.
Oh, how so?
Well, it's starting from a smaller base, obviously, around $90 million back in 2021. But its growth rate, its CAGR, is the highest in the region. 5.835%.
Wow, nearly 6%.
Yeah, projected to almost double, reaching nearly $189 million by 2033.
So what does that suggest? More construction?
Could be. Strong new construction.
Yeah.
Maybe a growing middle class, investing more in home improvements, aesthetics. It's definitely a hot spot within the region.
Interesting. Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe. Their total revenues also look pretty healthy, going from about $1.67 billion in 2021 to over $2.77 billion forecast for 2033. That's a TeleGR of about 4.3%.
Okay, so similar overall growth to North America, roughly.
Yeah, roughly. But how does it break down? Is it different from North America's picture?
Well, yes and no. I mean, Europe's always a really diverse picture, isn't it?
Sure.
You've got Germany as a major player, growing steadily. The UK, France, Italy, Russia, all contributing significantly.
Standard big economies.
Right. But here's the kicker. Similar to the Mexico situation, actually. The category labeled Rest of Europe is showing the highest growth rate within Europe, a CAGR of over 6.5%.
6.5, that's even higher than Mexico's rate.
Exactly. It jumps from about $185 million to over $446 million over the forecast period.
So what's going on there? Where is that growth coming from?
Well, the report doesn't break down that category further, but it suggests, really dynamic shifts. Could be specific countries seeing post-pandemic renovation booms, maybe.
Or maybe emerging economies within Europe.
Could be. Eastern Europe, perhaps. Places seeing faster development, rising demand for, better quality interior finishes. It's definitely a sign of change within the continent.
Fascinating. Okay, let's move to the real powerhouse in this market, according to the numbers. Asia Pacific.
Ah, yes.
The giants.
Seems like it. This region apparently jumps from almost $2.7 billion in 2021.
Already the biggest back then.
Right, to an expected $4.75 billion by 2033. And the CAGR is strong too, 4.87%.
Nearly 5%. So not only the biggest, but also growing faster than the global average.
Exactly. What's driving that dominance?
Well, I mean, it's the sheer scale, isn't it? Asia-Pacific is just the largest market segment overall.
Right.
And within that, China is, well, no surprise, a huge force, growing from about $1.1 billion in 2021 to almost double that, nearly $2 billion by 2033.
Incredible growth.
It is. And India's story is also really strong, from around $441 million up to over $811 million.
Plus, you have Japan, South Korea, Southeast Asia. They're all major contributors. It just reflects the massive ongoing urbanization and, well, just enormous construction activity happening there.
Development on a huge scale.
Exactly. And a growing consumer base that's increasingly focused on home quality and appearance.
Makes sense. Okay, let's head south now. South America. The market there grew from around $296 million in 2021, projected to reach about $448 million by 2073.
Okay, so smaller numbers overall.
Yeah. The AGR is 3.586%.
Right, so that's noticeably lower than the other regions we've talked about. The lowest so far, actually.
It is. What does that slower pace tell us?
Well, it shows steady growth, which is positive. But the lower CGR suggests, perhaps more gradual expansion compared to the booms elsewhere.
Okay.
Brazil leads the way there, projected to get to over $164 million by 2033. Argentina and Colombia contribute too. It might just reflect different economic conditions, maybe the specific nature of the housing markets in that region. Slower, but still growing.
Got it. Okay, now for a region showing the opposite trend, it seems. The Middle East.
Ah, yes. High growth potential here.
Definitely looks like it.
Yeah.
Total growth from about $304 million in 2021, expected to hit nearly $600 million, $593 million by 2033.
Okay.
And the CAGR is really high, 5.719%.
Yeah, that's one of the fastest growth rates we've seen. What's behind that?
Well, connecting it back, it seems linked to major development plans.
Right. Makes sense. You've got Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the UAE, all significant contributors with big projections.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Saudi Arabia, for instance, is set to basically double from about $59 million to over $116 million. Turkey's similar. Around $69 million growing to over $132 million.
So big national projects.
Seems likely. Big infrastructure pushes, economic diversification efforts leading to lots of new construction, both residential and commercial. It's a region really investing heavily in building.
Okay. One more region to cover, Africa. Revenues here climbed from roughly $226 million in 2021 to a forecast of about $400 million by 2033.
The smallest market in total revenue, right?
Correct. But the CAGR is still decent, 4.21%.
So growing healthily, even if it's starting from a smaller base, is there a standout country?
South Africa seems to be the largest player. It's projected to reach over $180 million by 2033, up from about $103 million. Nigeria is also mentioned as a significant contributor.
Right. So this reflects that ongoing story of urbanization across the continent.
Seems like it. Growing cities, developing middle classes.
Yeah, and increasing investment in property, both homes and businesses. It's definitely an emerging market story with, a lot of potential still untapped.
Okay, so we've toured the globe, essentially, looking at interior stains. Let's try and pull this all together. What does it all mean for you listening in? We've clearly seen this consistent global growth story. This market's expected to top $12 billion by 2033.
Which is pretty impressive for wood stains.
It really is. It shows how fundamental these products are for building and renovating everywhere.
But what's really fascinating, I think, is the variation we saw. The different regional stories playing out.
Yeah, definitely not a one-size-fits-all situation.
No, you've got Asia-Pacific just dominating in terms of sheer size and volume growth, driven by that massive development. But then you look at the Middle East, showing the highest rate of growth, the highest TAGR, tied to those specific big development projects.
Right, and even within regions.
Exactly. Those pockets of really high growth, like Mexico within North America, or that rest of Europe category. It just highlights how things like consumer tastes, building trends, local economic factors, they all create these unique patterns across the world.
It really makes you think about what other details in these kinds of reports are signaling bigger shifts.
Totally.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the global interior stains market. Honestly, who knew there was so much detail and global economics packed into a can of wood stain?
Well, maybe not packed in the can.
Laughs. Okay, fair enough. But you know what I mean. We've seen how one report can give us this really powerful snapshot of what's happening globally. where the money's flowing, where the building's happening.
And the speed of it all.
Exactly.
It does raise a question, doesn't it? What other markets, things we think are mundane or everyday, are actually quietly growing and changing and, well, shaping the world in ways we just don't notice?
That's a great point.
So, as you go about your day, maybe you'll notice that freshly stained floor or piece of furniture. Keep an eye out for those sort of hidden industries, the ones that underpin everything else. What story will you uncover next? Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into something that, well, it seems pretty straightforward, but it's actually fascinating. The world of interior stains.
That's right.
Yeah, it's this surprising mix of changing tastes, environmental rules, and some pretty cool chemistry.
It really is.
Our mission today, cut through all that noise.
Yeah.
We want to pull out the key insights from our sources about what's really shaping this market. What's going on with our homes and DIY projects, just beneath that surface finish.
And it's funny, you probably don't spend much time thinking about the stain on your floor, maybe your kitchen cabinets.
Not usually, no.
But understanding these bigger market forces, it can definitely influence your next home improvement decision, or even just how you look at design. What I find really interesting is this interplay between what we want as consumers, the environmental side of things, which is huge, and all the new tech coming out. It's really shaking up the whole industry.
Okay, so let's dig into that. What are these sort of quieter forces driving demand for something like wood stain? What's pushing the market?
Well, it's interesting. It's not just about brand new houses being built. Home remodeling is actually a huge indicator, almost like an economic signpost.
Really? Remodeling specifically?
Yeah, we're seeing this surprising uptick in projects focused on enhancing natural wood. People want to see the wood, not just cover it up. And that's happening everywhere, North America, Europe, and more in developing economies too. Basically, more wood showing means more demand for stains.
And that fits with this trend I've noticed too, this real pullback towards natural wood looks, that sort of rustic, earthy feel.
Exactly. People seem to crave that authenticity, that premium look you get when the stain lets the wood's own grain and color come through. It's totally different from, say, an opaque paint.
Right. You want to see the character of the wood itself.
Precisely. And that desire for authenticity, it links up perfectly with the explosion in DIY culture, especially after the pandemic lockdown.
Oh, yeah. Everyone became a home improvement expert overnight, didn't they?
Yeah. Kind of. People just got more confident tackling projects themselves. And that directly fuels interior stain sales, whether you're buying it at the local hardware store or, clicking online.
Okay, so we've got DIYers feeling empowered, this love for natural wood, but then there's the science bit.
Yeah.
The actual stains themselves. You mentioned innovations, things like low VOC. What does that even mean?
Yeah, VOC stands for volatile organic compounds. Basically the stuff that evaporates into the air and can be, well, not great for air quality or health.
Right, that strong smell you sometimes get.
Exactly. So these advancements, no VOC, water-based stains, even newer things like gel and hybrid stains, they're not just marketing fluff. They are genuinely changing things.
How so?
Well, first off, they're much better for the environment. That's critical because regulations are getting tighter all the time. But they also tackle common DIY frustrations.
Like what?
Think about water-based options. Much lower odor, faster drying times, huge plus for working indoors. And those gel or hybrid stains, they're actually designed to go on more evenly, reducing that blotchy look beginners often struggle with. It makes getting professional-looking results way more achievable for, the average person.
Okay. That is a big deal. Anyone who's tried staining pine knows that blotchy struggle.
Oh, yeah.
But even with these improvements, are there still big hurdles? You mentioned regulations.
Absolutely. Those VOC regulations are a major constraint. The old-school solvent-based stains, they're under a lot of pressure because of their emissions.
So less of those available.
We're seeing a definite decline, especially in places with strict rules like California or the EU. So manufacturers are really pushing R&D into water-based and even bio-based alternatives that can meet sustainability goals without compromising the look or performance.
So the industry's adapting. But what about practical challenges for someone actually using the stain, even the new stuff?
Well, yeah, there are still limitations. Stains generally don't work well on surfaces that are already sealed or on laminates or synthetic materials. You need absorbent wood.
Yeah.
And honestly, even with the better formulas, getting a perfectly uniform finish, especially on soft woods like pine, it can still be tricky if you don't prep it just right.
Prep is key then.
Always. Plus, you've got competition, right? Varnishes, polyurethane coatings, those decorative laminates, they're all fighting for that same spot on the shelf, that same share of the market.
Right, it's not the only option. Now, something that sounds really helpful are those stain plus sealer products, the all-in-ones. Huge time saver, I imagine.
Definitely makes things quicker, simpler for DIY.
But is there a catch? Like, do you trade off quality or durability for that convenience? Is easy always the best result long term?
That's a really good question. Often, yes, there's a bit of a trade-off. You might sacrifice some ultimate durability or maybe the depth of finish you'd get by doing separate specialized stain and seal coats. But for a lot of homeowners, that convenience factor, it outweighs the slight difference. It's good enough and much faster. And tied into that convenience is customization. People want choices now. Custom tints, a huge range of colors, different sheens like matte, satin, gloss. That diversity is becoming really key.
And how are people finding out about all this? It feels like online plays a bigger role now.
Oh, massively. E-commerce is huge. And influencer marketing, too. You see stains being used in social media videos, YouTube tutorials.
Right, the before and after transformations.
Exactly. So product education online, customer reviews, that stuff is absolutely essential for driving sales today. People research before they buy.
Okay, wow. We've really unpacked quite a bit here, haven't we?
We have.
From, that booming DIY culture and the love for natural wood through to the techie stuff like stain plus sealers and that big shift towards eco-friendly options.
Yeah, and the challenges, too.
Right, the challenges, those VOC rules, sometimes tricky application for newbies. Hopefully this deep dive has maybe added a few interesting layers to how you think about something as seemingly basic as wood stain.
And maybe if we step back and look at the bigger picture here, it brings up an interesting thought, doesn't it? As technology keeps advancing and sustainability becomes even more central, how might our whole relationship with natural materials and how we finish our homes, how might that actually change in the years ahead? Will we see even more natural textures or maybe new synthetics taking us in unexpected directions?
That's a great question. Definitely something to ponder as you look around your own home or maybe plan that next project. We hope these insights help you see your living space in a slightly different light.